Hello.
What's up, G?
Not too much. What's up with you? You got a nice setup there.
Thank you, man. I'm digging the animation y'all got going on. Are these?
We're actually in these avatars. We're in VR chat. If you have VR, you can just get into any model that is available.
Really?
Or you can make your own.
Yeah.
I've made my own.
That's fire.
This one.
That's fire. I'm sorry, real quick, just to explain. I'm recording for a podcast. Y'all interested in being in a podcast? Y'all look like a couple of interesting individuals.
Sure. I hope we are as interesting as we seem.
Yeah, hell yeah.
They could take your money and then deny you the use of the game if they want, because of who knows what.
Yeah. Don't you feel like they can do that now?
The problem with
They
that,
can.
the problem with that system really is, they sell you a service, they do that for a year or two, and they stop the service, and you can't do anything about it anymore.
Yeah.
Would make it much easier for them
When
to do
you
it,
used to,
although it
and
has
that's why
happened
consoles. It happens all the time. Like with a console, if you buy physical media, you're kind of safe from that because you put in your disc and you're good.
Yeah.
Which is not a thing anymore. At least you can download your games and you can still play them. If Xbox stops offering, or Xbox, Sony, or Nintendo, if they say, oh yeah, we're not going to support that console anymore, you can't even download your stuff anymore. Like you would have a day until you can get your things, and then it's just gone.
And if you're streaming it, then yeah, when they decide to end support, then you're done. Yeah.
And there's pirating.
Yeah.
What about pirating? If you're streaming,
I mean, if you have no more access to whatever games you had, they're probably gonna go to pirating websites in order to try to get it back again.
Right. And I think what's frustrating to me even now is I play Xbox, and without an Xbox Live subscription, you can't play your games. Without internet, I can't play my games. Even if I have them, well, now I have an all digital Xbox, but before I had, one that took hard disks. And even then, if you're not logged into your Xbox Live account, even if you have the disc in your console, you can't play the game, not even the single player. They won't let you open.
I didn't know that. I thought they kind of stopped doing that. That's kind of shitty.
No,
that's the whole point of a console. Set it up and play it.
Exactly. So what you're talking about when you were saying, it's going to make it easier for them to stop you from gaming. Yeah, it's going to be like that, where if your internet goes out, or your subscription goes out, or if you get banned from Xbox Live, that's all your games. All the games that you've ever bought now are gone because they have this subscription-based system.
Money
That's kind of sucky.
Yeah.
And that should be illegal, because they could just run with your money.
I think it is.
If they wanted to
still play the games you bought.
Yeah, if they wanted to, Microsoft, in theory, could, like a game like Grand Theft Auto 5, sell Grand Theft Auto 5 to 5 million people in a week, and then snatch their servers offline and say, oh, Xbox isn't a thing anymore, we're not doing that. And now you just collected all these people's money and you ran. It's almost, I don't want to say it's a Ponzi scheme, but it only works if people keep putting money into it. As soon as people stop putting money in, everybody stops playing. So it's
companies have gotten very greedy.
Yeah, and
I mean, I see the part with the online, I guess, stop the online, but you should still be able to play single player.
Yeah, I think you should, because a lot of the times, I do, it's not as common anymore, but yeah, sometimes I get on the game and I just play through the single player, or certain games. Now, don't quote me on this. There may be games that are single player only that you can play offline, but I know anytime I have been like locked out of my Xbox account or anything like that, if I put the disc in there, you put the disc in, but the game doesn't actually run off the disc. The disc is just basically like your DLL code or whatever that unlocks the game for you. You still download that game from the internet.
Computers. That was kind of a shitty thing when Steam came up and you bought a game at a store. You put in the disc and then you still had to download it.
Yeah.
or at least patches to be able to play it. I think the whole point of a console is just plug it in, play, and there you go. I mean,
It's
I've got a
essentially just
Nintendo
another like
Switch.
gaming PC.
That's how that works. I mean, I don't need to set it up or anything. It's just I put in my cartridge and I play. I can download online, but I would rather. I'm only buying physical games because I can just switch out the physical media and go ahead and play it.
Right. Right.
Or it should be. I mean, that's the point of a console. I mean, computers can be a little bit more of a hassle for more freedom, but that's the whole point of a console. It's just ease of use.
Yeah, it's like, you know, do you want to use an iPhone or do you want to use an unlocked Android? You know, one may be easier to use, but
Pretty much.
you're going to be able to do a lot more with the other device. Yeah.
That's another thing about consoles. Like, you used to just have the console and you knew everything would run on that. But now it's like, oh, there's a lot of different versions. Like, you've got your Xbox One. I don't even know. Xbox has gone confusing. But you've got your slim version, you've got the better version, you've got the pro version, and all the games run on all the versions, but they don't really run very well on like the original models.
Yeah, they don't perform the same. They'll run, but they don't perform. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're not even having a proper frame rate, and you've got stuttering. I think stuttering should not happen on a console at all.
Yeah, at this point, I have been starting to wonder why it is, you know, because we talked about mouse and keyboard versus controller earlier, but I think the other thing that, you know, on these crossplay games coming out now is these computer players are running 60 frames per second no matter what. They will do whatever it is they need to do with their setup at home to make sure they are running 60 frames or better. And, you know, 99% of console players, you can be hardwired into your internet and have priority on your Wi-Fi and have everything in your house turned off, and you're still not going to get 60 frames. You're still going to be lagging behind somebody on PC.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're playing a different game than you. They're playing the game a few seconds before you are, and you know, I don't see why.
Yeah.
Like you said, with consoles, this thing is made to do nothing but run games. So I feel like they should be
It should be better. Yeah.
Yeah, they should be the meta for gaming. But now, you know, more than ever, people are leaning towards PCs because they're just better.
I mean, right now you can't really get anything for PC, but it's also hard to get a console. So yeah, market is kind of.
I still have my Xbox One, but I'm always on my PC, really.
Yeah. I mean, because you can play all the same games, right?
Yeah.
And you can hook your Xbox controller into the computer. So why play your Xbox?
Yeah.
My roommate used it to play Witcher 3.
In that case, we've only kind of hit on like Xbox and PlayStation since they're kind of similar. I think Nintendo is doing the right thing by kind of hardware locking their games, not only by just releasing them on the hardware, but I mean the stuff Nintendo themselves release is kind of, it's made to use the controllers.
Yeah.
With the features they have, with the features you don't have on like an Xbox or PlayStation or a computer.
Yeah, it's very
which is great. Like you get a different experience from it, and it makes sense to be locked. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes it makes sense to be locked to the system.
Yeah.
I guess not really anymore. With the Wii, it was more like it, I guess.
well, with that, and I do want to talk about the Wii because I had a Wii when they first came out, and there were reasons it was fascinating to me. But in the next 10 years, with the release of, you know, now both big consoles are out, what do you see happening with Nintendo? Do you feel like they're growing, or do you feel like they're phasing out?
I think they're very much growing right now with their handheld. They did the right thing to go low power and in front of me, like low power but portable, because it's a feature like nobody else has. You can have your phone, but you don't really have. You can have your phone, but you cannot really have physical. You can game on your phone, but it's kind of janky and touch screen. It doesn't work.
I hate playing games on my
And
phone. I
actually,
despise it.
yeah, and even if a Switch isn't the most powerful hardware and it's like kind of an old phone right now, they still manage to get their good games running at 60 frames.
Yeah.
Like, it may not look as good, but I don't know.
And you know, now
I mean,
that
when Breath of the Wild came out, I thought,
go ahead.
okay, when Breath of the Wild came out, I was kind of shocked because it did look really bad. But you kind of forget about that. You play a bit and like, yeah, that looks kind of shitty, but you play and it's a good gameplay, and then you just go and it's still
He
great.
doesn't care about shitty graphics.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is probably, as much as we don't like to admit it, I think it's common among all gamers that we will sacrifice good graphics. I mean, yeah, we'll sacrifice graphics for a better gaming experience. And I think that's become really apparent, like I said, once again, with Call of Duty. It's like the benchmark for, you know, what meta gaming is right now. And visually, Call of Duty was super impressive when it came out, especially to somebody like me who's been playing since Call of Duty 3, you know, when I was in like 6th grade or something like that, you know. So visually, it's like super impressive, and I'm amazed with where they're going with graphics. But at the same time, games now are buggier and running worse than I feel like they ever have, you know. And that's something that I'm not really understanding why that's happening. But when you mention Nintendo and their handheld devices, Nintendo has had the handheld device game on lock for decades now. And, you know, Sony tried the PSP and it was a thing for a little bit, and I think that was just a gimmick. You know, other companies have tried the handheld thing and nobody really, you know, I don't think nobody
really took off.
Yeah, and nobody pinpoints fun like Nintendo does. You know, I think Nintendo, their games are all fun based. They don't have to look the best, they don't have to be the most competitive, but they're going to run smooth and they're going to be fun to play. And I think that's why Nintendo's still around.
Yeah, and they're not knocking out yearly sequels like other games do, like other publishers.
Yeah,
they just want to hear another one. They want to make money. Nintendo actually cares about quality.
Yeah.
I think that's what keeps them going.
So do you still get the same, you know, feelings and the same fun you get playing Nintendo games now as you did when we were younger and it was Game Boy and stuff like that?
I didn't really have a Game Boy when I was young. I got one really late, but
yeah.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it was more magical back then because they had some features like you could play together with someone else, and it was a handheld when phones really didn't do much of a handheld thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I remember staying
but it's
up
still
late
kind of awesome.
Playing Pokemon Red.
Pokemon Red, yeah, there you go. And people, and you know what's funny now? Like one of my homies, you know, he's about our age as well, and he has a Nintendo Switch, and he's playing Pokemon Red, like he plays Pokemon Red. You know what I mean? I don't know if they have a new one. I just remember hearing him talking about it and asking questions, and I was like, shit, like. You know, I don't know if he was mentioning the old Pokemon Red and there's a new Pokemon game or what. Like I said, I'm not up on Nintendo. But yeah, like, you know, they've stayed consistent to their fan base.
Re-released it for the Switch.
They did? Yeah.
I heard they might.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so just with that, you know, they're consistent and they're loyal to their fan base, which I think is something a lot of game devs miss.
I mean, maybe, yeah, but I have heard of a lot of mess ups of them attacking their fan base.
Really? Tell me about that.
Well, for one thing, I mean, like streamers, YouTubers, if anyone had any slight thing of Nintendo, they were being struck down. And there's a lot of problems with that.
They didn't like that at all.
No.
You know, now that you mention it, I don't see any Nintendo streamers.
Because of that.
Yeah, because Nintendo just doesn't, or I think they got better about it, but they really, you know.
They don't like the free advertisement. They in that way, they've been attacking the people that are actually interested in their stuff.
And that's really weird because I know a lot of games that I play because I saw a streamer playing it.
Yeah.
You know, DayZ is one of those games. I picked up DayZ on Xbox because people look like they have so much fucking fun playing DayZ on PC. I was like, fuck it, I'll try it on Xbox, you know?
Yeah.
So that seems
I
really
tried the
unfortunate that
Force because
Nintendo's
I saw
just
somebody playing it. I tried Fall Guys. We play that occasionally, not often, but I tried that because it looked like fun. There's quite a few. Yeah, it's free advertising.
yeah. Because you know, when we were kids and they put out a video game,
Absolutely.
I remember this with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, as well as Need for Speed Underground 2. When those games came out, and I was a kid, you know, the Game Informer magazine would like announce the game, you know, and then the trailer would drop on the official website, whether it be the Rockstar website or EA or whatever, and that's all you had. You know, you would just
Or you got the trailer on the disc from the magazine.
yeah, and you would watch the trailer over and over and over and over again until you bought the game. And for me, I didn't get San Andreas when it first came out, so I was hearing my friends talking about San Andreas and then going home and watching the trailer over and over and over again. Now you basically have hundreds of thousands of people who are willingly making extended in-game trailers for you, you know, and they're not charging you a dime. They're marketing your development company. They're advertising all these things for you and bringing people to your brand, you know. So I don't see why Nintendo would want to stay away from something like that.
Yeah,
Streaming, it's almost a part of gaming now, you know. Streaming and gaming,
it is.
My first system was the Sega Genesis, and my first game was Sonic the Hedgehog.
There you go. See, my brother had those systems. What's up, man?
I didn't really have any consoles when I was a child. I guess we had a Game Boy, the original, but it was always like computer. Like my parents always gave me like the super old computers with like Windows 3.5 or something on it, so I had a few DOS games.
Yeah. So you're a classic keyboard mouse gamer all the way.
Yeah.
The only games I was allowed to play
pretty
on
much.
the computer
Never had a lot of console. I'm not good with controllers usually.
I've heard an argument made recently. There's a big talk with crossplay now being a thing. You have people who are controller players arguing that mouse and keyboard is OP, and then you have keyboard players, keyboard and mouse players who argue controller is OP. And I'm going to speak my piece on that, and then I want to hear what y'all think about it, saying that y'all do both, I guess. I think the opinion that I've heard that seems to make the most sense is that a lot of the time, keyboard and mouse can be faster and more accurate, but a lot of the people who've been playing on controller, it's not that the controller is OP, but they've been playing on controller since they were like 6 years old, and now they're our age. You know, we're millennials, so we're, you know, in our late 20s, early 30s. We've been playing on controller for like decades now. So what is your preference and why? What do you think's better?
I was actually never good with the controllers when it came to shooting games.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell I got through Halo. But actually, I do prefer the keyboard and mouse because I feel like I got more control.
Absolutely.
But
I
when I played Monster Hunter World, I got used to using the controller a bit when I was using the insect glaive to be able to look around and attack at the same time.
Right. And see, my thing, you know, because I'm mainly a first-person shooter kind of guy. You know, I play Battlefield, Call of Duty. I've played other little stuff, but those are the main things. And for me, it's just, I just feel like being able to move your mouse around and aim. You know, when you shoot at somebody, you're clicking on them. You know, you're pointing at them and you're clicking on them, which is totally different than having to, you know, move what is essentially your whole screen with your thumb. So me personally, I'm more comfortable with controller. I don't have a lot of experience on mouse and keyboard, but I see where both sides are coming from and how, and oftentimes
I think with a mouse you have just more area where you can move your mouse, and just the thumbstick is so small.
yeah.
I mean, if you're good with it, I'm sure a controller player can absolutely wreck someone with a keyboard and mouse. They have to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
And
over.
I think it's just easier with a keyboard and mouse. You have more
always
precision with the mouse.
overshot everything when I was using a controller because I just could not use it correctly.
Yeah, and that's what it is, right? Like with the controller, and I don't know how to describe this in technical terms, but with the controller, you're using a joystick to move this cursor, and you're really only control with that joystick. All you can control is the speed of which your cursor moves. But you like you said, you push it a little too hard in the heat of the
to stop moving.
Yeah,
you let go of it. But with the mouse, that thing will move as slow or as fast as you want it to. If you move it a millimeter on your desk, like your cursor's only going to move a millimeter. And I'm sure that makes tracking on first-person shooters way easier when you can just drag across your desk and headshot somebody to death.
Yeah.
And you can also control your DPI, so you can really handle how your controller moves.
Yeah.
Right.
Your mouse.
Right. DPI. What does DPI stand for? I'm not computer savvy.
It's like how far your cursor moves for how much you move your mouse.
I got you. Kind of like
DPI is high, your cursor moves a lot faster.
I got you. So it's like a ratio type of thing.
Yeah.
I got you.
Exactly, yeah.
I got you. So, are y'all into like competitive esports or anything like that, or is it more just a fun hobby for y'all?
It's more fun. I used to watch Counter-Strike a bit. Actually been to a tournament. That was fun, but I guess not anymore.
Yeah.
Just playing more casual now.
Tournaments. I used to watch the Overwatch tournaments.
Got you.
But I kind of just did away, I guess.
Yeah. Here, what I've noticed is starting to emerge in popularity, and I think it's partially because of technology and partially because of COVID, but sim racing in esports has become enormous in the past few years. Are y'all into sim racing at all, or what do you think about that?
Are you talking like Colin McRae, or like sim racing simulated, like where it's realistic?
Like iRacing, Assetto Corsa, GT Sport, Forza Motorsport. GT and Forza are more so simcades, but with this year's season of World Endurance Racing, IRL, they've even included in the sim racing aspect into it. So throughout the season, these real world racing drivers will do a sim race earlier in the week and then later in the week they'll do the IRL race on the real track.
That's neat.
Yeah, and I really, and since y'all are in VR, I think this is the point I'm getting to here, is I think sim racing right now is really driving where we're going in VR right now, and is going to start closing up that gap in between augmented
this program too.
I mean, you would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard like Assetto Corsa, I think, has support. Not all of them do have, but I can see why you would want to do it.
Say again.
Might be fun. I think Assetto Corsa has VR support out of the box.
Yeah.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
And I think the interface that they're creating, I think it's a lot easier to do with driving because your character's not moving. The world's moving around your car, really, in a racing game. So that gives you the ability to be, if you have the sim setup at home, with the driving wheel and the pedals and the shifter and everything, that essentially gives you the ability to be 100% immersed into this game now, because you're holding a steering wheel, you're pushing the pedals, and when you look around, you're inside the car. Where do you think VR is going as far as like adventure and fantasy games and that sort of thing? Do you see them having that much immersion coming soon, or do you think it's going to be a while?
I think there's the potential for it.
I mean, there's been
I mean, I think there's a potential
That's-
for it only because
you go first.
there's a lot of people in these programs like VR Chat or Neos that are developers that just having fun doing their thing and exploring these very things that we're talking about. Want to say something? I think there's going to be quite
I mean,
a future
there's a
in it.
lot of things coming up in terms of better hardware. Like not only the headsets, like there's a project going on where someone is making haptic controllers on their own for the cheap. Like you can build them yourself. Like right now they're just finger tracking, kind of, but they want to have like force feedback so it blocks your fingers' movements and shit like that.
Oh, okay.
So that would be great to have.
It's like if you're holding a gun, your hand's going to stop here, and it's going to feel like you're holding a gun and you're squeezing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's also a vest that
and someone is making that with just.
But I was gonna mention that vest that a company made that if you're shot in the game, it puts like a pressure in the area that you
most
shot.
of
Sorry,
most of those things are really expensive. Like they cost hundreds of dollars, but the Trax gloves, they're straight up gloves. You can build them for like $50 or something. Like this is, VR just kind of needs to get cheap, and immersive things need to get cheap.
Yeah, and I think
VR Chat's free.
Yeah, the headset sure isn't though.
But the hardware,
yeah, and I think
it's kind of difficult on that because right now anything you could kind of recommend people is like, oh yeah, Quest 2 is cheap, I guess, but you're selling your soul to Facebook.
Not only that, but you're also kind of limited with it.
Say again.
Well, he was mentioning the Facebook problem with the Quest, but I was also mentioning you're kind of limited in programs like this with the Quest. Not everybody builds things for that that headset.
Right.
It's an extra work. So.
Yeah, and I think something that we've seen that consistently happens in the game world and the tech world, and I'm pretty sure in all industries, is that as new technology, you're not just paying for the hardware, you're paying for the research and development that went into that. But I think as this starts to become more common and they know more about it, I do see VR becoming a lot more readily accessible for the everyday gamer, not just the hardcore people who are willing to invest that money into it. I just don't know.
I hope we're going that way.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because me, I'm an Xbox player. I play Xbox One. I haven't got a Series X yet, but I know the big thing that's been talked about among me and my Xbox friends is, VR compatibility with Xbox. And when Xbox was going to have their, they don't have it yet. And we've always talked for probably about 3-4 years now about, what we expect when Xbox does come out with VR, because they have to, eventually they're going to have to answer back to PlayStation VR. They have to do it. But as time went on,
I mean, competition is always good.
Yeah. But what dawned on me is, and something that I don't know how I forgot this and how this slipped me, but Xbox is Microsoft. Oculus Rift is Microsoft. So I think what we're heading
Oculus
towards
is Facebook.
Oculus
Microsoft
is Facebook?
has their own Facebooks. Oculus is Facebook. Yeah, Microsoft has their own headsets. They're called Windows Mixed Reality.
I thought Oculus Rift was made by
They do have their own
Microsoft.
Facebook. No, Oculus is Facebook.
Oculus was its own company until.
Oculus
I think they started up using Xbox controller. Yeah, Oculus is Facebook, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm seeing Oculus Quest. There used to be Oculus Rift, now it's Oculus Quest.
Yes.
Oh, the Quest is it's not called Rift anymore.
Yeah, no. The Quest is linked with Facebook now. There's a lot of people who've had issues with it.
Yeah.
But we are seeing more people using it just because it's
controversy about it.
I was expecting that eventually Microsoft was just going to make the Xbox and the Oculus Rift compatible with each other, and then we weren't going to have to go through the phases Sony went through with developing a VR for console. They would already have a great VR system that they could just...
Microsoft does make headsets
Yeah.
Look up
Oh,
Windows
right.
Mixed Reality. It's a weird name because it is a VR headset and it's
Yeah.
compatible with computer VR, PC VR.
Yeah.
So they can still make it work for Microsoft,
Yeah.
for the Xbox, I guess.
So this is my first time hearing
But they
about
do have
Windows
the
mixed
research.
reality. Where do you see that being in the next, or what role do you see that playing in gaming over the next 5 years with these new consoles coming out?
I'm honestly not sure. We did meet somebody who had it for a little while, but she switched. And a friend of
It's got
ours.
quiet about Windows Mixed Reality, really. When you heard
I
it
think she
come
was
up, and
using that,
they
and it
were
was
the
not.
cheaper
Kept
headsets.
on losing connection and everything. It was not. I don't think it was that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe do you think VR is just at a point right now where even these big tech companies aren't really to a point where they're ready to sell it? Do you think?
Maybe with the additional
I'm not
technologies like the
sure.
haptics suits and other things like. But hopefully soon.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is being made for enterprise, for companies. Like you see, like VR. Oh yeah, car manufacturers use it to design cars.
Yeah.
For example, or there's like military use for flight simulators because it's cheaper than having a real plane.
Right.
it's if you want to have something like that, like haptics controllers or suits or like even eye tracking or something, you can hardly get it, and if you can, it's really expensive.
Right.
But just yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned car manufacturers. BMW, that when they designed their new M8 GTE, it's their endurance car that they're running, and they've been running for the past couple of years. They actually they test that car in what is essentially a giant virtual reality racing simulator. It's like a cockpit.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a cockpit with hydraulics and shit, and they're in a room with like giant
that's
screens
awesome.
around them. Yeah, and they take the data that they learned from the track and bring it back to the simulator, and they tweak it, and then they take the data from the simulator and they put it on the real car, and because all that stuff's monitored, and it's all, like I said, once again, and I don't mean to repeat myself, but I see in a big way how the automotive industry and racing is really merging the virtual world, because those race cars in real life have sensors in everything. Every single they're monitoring. Sometimes even the driver's heartbeat. And how much they're sweating and stuff is being monitored in those cars. So with that, I'm going to change gears slightly here, because you mentioned the military, and we've been talking about VR a lot. But what do you think about AR, augmented reality? Are you familiar with that whatsoever?
I mean, the last thing you've really heard about is like Google Glass, which kind of failed. I don't think AR is there yet, because you can't really make the proper displays yet. Like it's manufacturers or just industry in general is having a hard time to make VR displays with a high resolution and a higher field of view. Like that's kind of challenging. Maybe once VR is at a point where it's good enough, they can actually make good AR.
Yeah. So you feel like VR is gonna pave the way for AR?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's a logical step
with it.
Yeah.
Say again. I couldn't hear you both. I'm sorry.
I was saying I believe so, because I think VR has more extended research than augmented.
Absolutely. And VR, I think, is a little easier to test in a closed environment than AR.
Oh yeah.
You need an environment to interact with AR.
And AR has to be more socially accepted. And even the style of it, like it needs to be small glasses or something. You can't have this huge head thing in front of your face.
Right.
It doesn't matter when you're at home. Like in VR, yeah, you got this huge thing strapped to your head, which is fine because no one's gonna see you.
Right.
But if you out and about, I don't know. I see AR at some point it might replace your phone or enhance your phone. I can see that, but
okay.
It's going to be a little bit longer until that happens.
Yeah, and you're kind of answering my next question there. I was going to ask, in your ideal scenario, what I guess advantages or what in what ways would AR contribute to your ideal situation, and how would you like to be able to use it? And VR too, not just AR, but AR or VR.
We saw something. Was it
mean-
like last year? I think Kaze showed us. Was this augmented reality thing where supposedly you were gonna be able to play board games and cards with friends from anywhere? I don't know how far they went
That
with
seems
that.
interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting concept. That would be cool.
So is it basically like a
I
thing
don't
where I
know
can
where it
sit
went.
at the table with my glasses on and you sit at the table with your glasses on and we can see each other playing across the table even though we're not there? Is it that type of thing? Or?
Mhm.
I
Okay.
don't think it was that detailed. I think it was more you saw each other moving your turn or something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I saw it, but it was mentioned in our friend group.
I got you. Yeah, that sounds cool. And I asked that because you mentioned AR replacing our phones, and I think personally that's what I see happening, because we're at a point now where our
Mhm.
phones essentially do everything for us. We're almost to a point where we don't need wallets and pocketbooks anymore, right? Your debit
Yeah.
card could be in your
Mhm.
phone. At a certain point, I'm pretty sure they're going to start making it possible for you to identify yourself using your phone, whether your ID or your fingerprint or whatever be in there.
Yeah.
So and I wear glasses. I don't want to wear contacts. So I think it'd be really cool for my phone to just be in my glasses, and be compatible with my earbuds, and I do everything from right here and just touch this and
hmm
yeah.
Yeah.
That would be nice. I think Google tried to do that. I think it failed,
Yeah.
but they tried.
Google Glass, it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind
Yeah.
of failed.
Yeah, and I
I mean,
think
I guess the technology wasn't there yet.
Yeah, not quite.
I think that sort of thing, because we make stuff smaller and smaller and smaller every day, but we also demand more of our technology every day. So I think if they just needed your phone to do what a phone did in the early 2000s, where all you're doing is calling and texting, they probably could very easily put that in some glasses. But now
Probably. Yeah.
I feel like it's almost pointless to have AR glasses without having like Google Maps built into it, and me be able to have like a direction HUD up on my
Yeah.
glasses like I'm playing a video game. It
That
needs to
would
be
be
that
awesome.
in depth.
Yeah.
I heard
I think
a guy
a heads-up display would be a main thing it should be able to do. Yeah.
Yeah, having a HUD in
It
real
wouldn't
life.
even be too bad if you still had a physical phone. I mean, hell, just let everything hardware, everything processing run on the phone, and have your glasses as a display. That
Yeah.
would be fine.
Yeah, because we
That's a way to slim it down.
we've definitely mastered being able to interconnect all of our different devices. But now I think we've reached a point in society where now that we have all these amazing devices and we've made them all compatible, like right now, I'm running my laptop into my Xbox into my TV so I can switch seamlessly from playing Xbox or using my TV as a screen, and then like Spotify, I can control my Spotify on my Xbox or my laptop from my phone. It's all interconnected. So now I think people are saying, if all these things can work together, why do I need all these things? At least that's what I'm asking. I don't know if this is a new discussion I'm starting or not, but at this point I feel like, okay, we have all these devices. Now how do we get rid of some of them and have one device or two devices that
I'm
do everything?
thinking of that too. It would be nice to have just like a powerful phone and put it in a dock and use that.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Because you would have all your data on that one device and that's it.
Yeah, and phones.
I don't know, from how things are going, it's more like you don't have, like you have a handpiece or something, but that doesn't do much anyway. It just connects to the internet and everything is in the cloud, which I don't like a lot. I would rather have my own physical hardware.
Well, hey, thank you so much for both of y'all for being on the show. I appreciate y'all coming through and talking about gaming with me and everything. And I hope y'all have a great day.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having us.